Hey there, my name's Niandra, and in this video I'm going to go through everything new with Mercy in Season 4. Alright, let's get the individual changes done first. Number 1, Mercy's healing has been increased from 45 to 55 per second, and she no longer gets a healing increase on critical allies. Basically, this means the extra healing introduced in Season 3 has been removed. Change number 2, Guardian Angel's cooldown has been lowered from 2.5 to 1.5. However, if you press jump or crouch during flight, you keep the ability active for an additional 0.5 seconds. So for example, when I slingshot here, the cooldown for Guardian Angel doesn't start until later. Essentially what this means is plain or cancelled GAs have a short cooldown, but ones where you slingshot or super jump have a longer cooldown. And last of all, change number 3, the support role passive is now always active during Valkyrie. Sympathetic recovery is still a thing and seemingly stacks on top of this, which feels really nice. Oh boy, let's look at these changes in depth and focus on the GA stuff for now. One thing to note, I play Mercy with toggle Guardian Angel off, meaning I have to keep the button held down to retain flight, and you'll want to keep that in mind with some of these clips. So, you know how Valkyrie resets the cooldown of Guardian Angel? Well, if you activate Valkyrie during a slingshot or super jump, you no longer get that reset, and the cooldown is actually carried over into your ultimate like this. However, if you Guardian Angel and Valk without jumping, you will get the reset just fine. I'm kinda confused by this because Valkyrie has always reset GA, including when the ability is active. This inconsistency just feels bad and confusing, and not gonna lie, I think this might be another oversight, and if the devs end up saying that in like a month's time, I will into a cereal bowl. Also, if you cancel Guardian Angel after doing a jump or crouch input, this no longer starts the cooldown sooner. So for example here, I cancel Guardian Angel and Slingshot at the same time, but Guardian Angel stays considered active. As for Resurrect, if you fly to a soul and cancel Guardian Angel, you generally are able to immediately fly away afterwards, which is very nice. Although if you fly and slingshot into range, you can end up still waiting around afterwards, which is a bit odd. This means that super jump reses still have a pause after them, which I think is kinda understandable. The shorter cooldown when you don't jump can still be very nice. It now feels a lot smoother to play on the edges of Mercy's maximum beam range, for example. Plus, I mean, Mercy should be cancelling GA a lot to keep distance from teammates. On the bright side as well, my god do I really appreciate Valkyrie having constant health regeneration again. I hope Mercy isn't overpowered with 2 self-healing methods during ult, and if she is, I definitely think I would prefer to keep constant health regen and just have sympathetic recovery disabled during ult. Personally, I much prefer the consistency of constant health regen over the less consistency but higher peaks of sympathetic recovery. Overall though, I am somewhat frustrated by these changes. I kinda feel like we have completely lost increased healing, but Guardian Angel is still nerfed, but with the cooldown shifted in a way that feels worse for the user and more hidden. The way they've gone about this, with keeping the ability active for longer, makes Mercy feel sticky. She feels sticky in the way that an 8-year-old child's toys feel sticky. A good example of this is very small slingshots like this, where the change is really noticeable. I would say it's pretty obvious that Mercy will be weaker in Season 4 than she was in Season 3, and that's not something I can't handle or accept. I completely understand the idea of wanting super jumps, and to a lesser extent slingshots, to be less frequent. I think having them on a separate longer cooldown is perfectly fine, but the implementation is where my problems lie. Also, for what it's worth, I personally expected critical healing to be nerfed quite a bit and Guardian Angel to be buffed a little bit as a sort of readjustment. We got a dev blog during Season 3 saying that Guardian Angel was overcorrected, but it mostly just feels the same but not as transparent to the player. We also have the dev comments for this patch note. I'm not going to read the whole thing out, and I think the first paragraph is ultimately fine, but the second one is kinda weird. It mentions that the increased healing was to give Mercy players more agency, however the change received significant negative feedback both from those playing as Mercy and those playing against it. Then they felt like they couldn't find a compromise. Now obviously I'm not the Lorax, I don't speak for the entire Mercy main community, and neither does any other content creator for that matter, but I am pretty heavily involved and like, what? Granted, people did not enjoy facing Mercy's increased healing, I think that is perfectly valid, but I don't think Mercy mains dislike the healing. In fact, from what I saw, there were basically 2 camps in Season 3. There were Mercy mains who enjoyed her mini rework because the healing made her feel rewarding to play, it felt worth their time to master nerfed Guardian Angel. Then we have the second camp that did not enjoy Mercy in Season 3, but they recognised that the healing was at least strong enough that she was still worth playing. There is a third camp of Mercy players that stopped playing her, but they aren't relevant here. Anyway, I bring this up because if this dev comment isn't a typo or miscommunication, I am extremely concerned about the way they look at feedback. Essentially, I feel like they've mixed two different pieces of feedback into one. They've interpreted disliking the GA nerfs as disliking the healing changes and used that as evidence. Combine this with the Season 3 dev blog where they stated they overcorrected Guardian Angel, which I admit how I interpret that is on me, and all the small details like repeated kit synchronicity issues, it all starts to feel a little disingenuous. And like, I know non-Mercy mains are gonna call us whiny, dumb, entitled, whatever, because I fully admit Mercy as a character has not been struggling. She's remained pretty powerful. When Mercy struggles, she gets addressed faster than other less popular heroes. I'm not gonna deny any of that. However, I think this is worth caring about because if the devs are looking at the data in a way that's janky, it's not gonna affect just one character. If you don't care about Mercy specifically, maybe you should care because it could also affect someone you like. Personally, I think GA during Season 3 with a 2.5 second cooldown feels better than what I've played around with on the test server. However, opinions can absolutely change, so take this with a grain of salt. You know what I think it is, honestly? If in Season 3 we had just had GA nerfs and no increased healing, we would have been upset for a few weeks, but then got used to it. But by giving us a taste and then taking it away, I think things have ended up feeling much worse. Also, before I go on to the next section, if you're enjoying this video and want to discuss it, please consider joining my Discord, and I'm also active on TikTok. Thank you! Anyway, moving on, let's look at Lifeweaver Interactions. Can Lifeweaver pull Mercy during her resurrect? The answer is no, she cannot be targeted during the revive animation. This means you can only pull her beforehand or after it's finished. Lifeweaver can however cancel his Mercy's res by placing a petal platform underneath her, which will launch her out of range, which to be honest I think is very funny. When you Guardian Angel over the petal platform, it will not trigger, and this is also the case if you do a crouch GA as well. However, if you do super jump underneath it, you will bang your head on it. You can also launch souls into the air if someone else stands on it, so presumably Mercy could res someone high up with this. So Lifeweaver's ult creates this big physical tree, right? But can Mercy stand on it? The answer is no, she falls through it. However, it is possible to get stuck on it and use it as a prop bounce like this. You've probably seen by now that Lifeweaver is more utility based and doesn't seem to have a super high healing output. He actively needs to weapon switch to do so and only has one method outside of ult. Him being released right as Mercy loses her extra healing makes me really worried that they're just not going to be good together and will struggle to keep a team up, which is going to be rough for us because everyone's going to be playing him. Moving on, last of all, let's look at the Battle Pass. At level 14 on the premium tier, Mercy gets this Blast of Victory pose, which honestly I kinda love. I think this looks great and is very fun. On level 68, she gets this spray. On level 70, she gets this epic skin named Infinite Seer. When I first saw the skin, I wasn't a big fan of it, but after some tinkering, I honestly think this is pretty cool. The red and black colour scheme works really well together, and Mercy hasn't gotten anything sci-fi before, so it fills a niche as well. I also especially like the red wings, which as expected do turn yellow during Valkyrie, but hey, it's not the end of the world. And there we go, that's all from me. I sure am looking forward to another season of Mercy Discourse. Thank you so much for watching, feel free to subscribe for more Mercy content, and have a nice day.